Hello there, world, and that's that Shattering Glass. Bettina Carey here, and we're live on Rainier Avenue World, where we help you to shatter glass ceilings right down to the floor. For those of you who are new to us, I am the founder and CEO of We Empower You, the online community of like-minded people and an empowerment movement designed for coaches and entrepreneurs. I'm an empowerer, and I want everyone, and that includes you, entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, mentors, thought leaders, and service-based business owners to break through to multiple six figures and beyond in their income. And my goal is to leave a lasting impact on the world by supporting and helping small businesses grow and scale in this lifetime. This week's guest is Master Nigel Henry. He's a returning guest for us, and I cannot wait to reintroduce him. Nigel's life purpose is activating and unleashing the greatness in people. He is typically working directly one-on-one behind the scenes with me, the chief, or the ambitious, highly gifted, extraordinary, out-of-the-box individual who has the desires and intentions of being known as the number one, the greatest, the disruptor in my industry or profession, while I'm making massive beneficial changes in the world. And his specific service, for which he is highly compensated, is engaging me, his client, in a proprietary form of thinking methodology called activation conversations. And this typically results in me experiencing sudden, massive explosions in my mastery performance and in my capacity of sourcing and contributing insane amounts of value at ludicrous speeds. Now, I didn't write this, but that is exactly what Nigel is good at. And Master Nigel's activation conversations cover the full gamut of my world, including my life's calling, global impact, business performance, health and relationships, and much more. Welcome, Master Nigel Henry. It's great to have you back. I'm going to have you unmute. There we go.
Greetings.
Yes, it's so great to have you. I participate in your weekly virus awareness practice group that you do on Tuesdays. And we were talking earlier this week about the distinctions, I should say, between giving and getting. And so I'd like for you to set the stage from our conversation this Tuesday so that we can dive a little bit deeper into the distinction.
Well, giving and getting is a very common expression in the world. Like if we're at an event, people like the speaker will say, "Are you getting this? Are you getting it?" There's a phrase, "Are you picking up what I'm putting down?" Right? And so it creates two types of people, the ones that's giving and the ones that's getting. And I think that the getting has some very detrimental implications for people who are in the world. And the secret of life is the giving. I'll just start there. And is that we can go deeper from there. Oh, now you're muted.
That's what I was sneezing. I forgot about that.
Okay.
So for some folks, this idea of giving is an idea that they adapt into their philosophy of life. And in my case, and so for many others, there's the giving comes naturally, like they just came into the world just like this, right? It's, I think my mom started saying to me when I was a very young child, "You would give the shirt off your back." And she wasn't using it as a compliment,
Right.
Because she saw me giving and giving and giving. And she was wondering, like, what are you getting? Like, are you getting anything from this? And I'm like, "Yes, mother, I love to contribute." And I have lived out my life. I'm now in my 60s doing exactly that. And I find that the more I give, the more abundant my life becomes. And when my life is not so abundant, I have learned that means I need to spend some more time giving. And so instead of searching and running around going, oh my gosh, like the sky is falling, I don't do that. I instead go inside and say, well, what more could I be giving? And so what do you think about that? Is this innate? Are they born with it? Can it be learned? Which do you think is the case?
First thing, I think that all beings, especially those called human beings, are designed to give. That's the only show actually in town. The way my analogy that I have is our temple, mind, body, emotions, is like a garden hose pipe, and it's here. Like the garden hose pipe its job is to get water to flow through it to the plants, and then the plants take that water and they do something to the soil, and the soil does something, and it all circles around. So the first thing is, I don't actually believe in giving and getting. I believe in circulating. Everything on earth is circulating.
I like that distinction.
Yes. So if I only think of getting or giving, or mainly getting, that's the real problem, when everything is around me. But if I'm aware that there are other beings around me and my job is to contribute to them, then what I'm really doing is circulating. And then what is this thing that's actually circulating like a current? In fact, everything that works in life, from electronics to the weather, to the water, to the air, is circulating. And there are beings who are forgotten that we're here to circulate value, actually. And they think, oh, I'm just here to get value. And then there's some people that think they're just giving it from infinity, but it's actually what we're doing is circulating. And the main part of circulating is the transmission part. So if we're all standing in a circle and they're like, okay, I'm going to whisper something in your ear, and then you whisper it in the next person, it will go around in a circle. It will change because each person's adding something. But if one person says, okay, I got it. Hello? Are you going to give it now? No, I got it. It's for me. Then the circle stops. And then the person that was anticipating being given was like waiting for their circulation moment. They're like, oh, there's nothing
Where's the
else.
flow?
Well, they don't have the word flow. They're like, oh, I didn't get anything. And then if they bought into the person that withheld the flow, the next person says, I didn't get anything, so I can't give anything. So now the mindset of the collective is, how much did I get? And get becomes the dominant thing. Whereas circulating is the only thing. And I only get and give when I forget that I'm circulating, right? So then people have this thing, well, the opposite of giving is getting. Both of them are irrelevant. They cause problem. We're here to circulate. Now, for things to circulate, just like the garden pipe circulates, just like electronic equipment, circuits. Remember that word, circuits? It allows the flow of something, and it's called the flow of currents. But for humans, what we're actually flowing is value.
And value comes from the heart, as we all know, right?
It passes through the heart. It arrives from the source in the heart, then it goes to the mind and comes out the mouth and lands in the mind and touches someone's heart. And then it just keeps circulating. So most people think it's coming from the heart because they think it started with them. No, it started outside of you. So the best way to describe a human being is a channel through which value is circulating.
Yes.
And
when I was a child growing up, there was a song that we used to sing when I was in Girl Scouts or in a swim club or whatever. And and we used to sing this over and over and over. I think it goes under the name of the fight song, right? And it'd be like, we are the blank, mighty, mighty blank. Everywhere we go, oh, people want to know who we are. And so we tell them we are the blank. And then it just goes on and on and on and on. And that song reminds me of what you're saying. And, the We Empower You community is now referred to as the way. And so we are the way.
Right.
Mighty, mighty way.
Now,
Everywhere we go, people want to know the way,
now I
And
think
I just love the idea of circulating a message that goes round and round. Excuse my singing for anybody who's listening out there.
now the main issue here is that people do not use that word circulate.
They do
Right?
not use that word.
They talk about giving and getting. And so if you go to a meeting, they're like, well, what am I going to get out of this meeting? Uh-oh. In fact, they rarely say, what am I going to give at this meeting? Now, why is this relevant? It's because of money, right? Money. Welcome to the thing that measures value, or the flow of value. Money is a measuring of the flow of value. So when someone says, well, I'm going to get, they're like, oh, I'm going to this event to get as much as I can. What they mean is they're going to consume or collect value. Oh, great. I got a lot from that. And notice getting is a storing activity. And then there's people who come who have stored, like they've studied, and then they go, I'm going to go to this event and give everything I got. Notice that. There is no circulating going on. It's just people storing and giving, and then some people getting and storing. And so the thing about the flow of values, if it goes out, then money comes in. And if it comes in, then money goes out. That's how the relationship between flow of value is.
You mentioned the word current. You mentioned the word current, which of course the word for currency.
Exactly. So there's physical currency, which moves in the opposite direction of spiritual currency. And the spiritual currency is value itself. And value is intangible, but you can represent it with the flow of money. And the main reason I'm bringing this up is because those who are giving, like the Bettinas of the world, they are having a high incoming because money flows, value goes out, money comes in. So whoever's giving the most will be receiving the most money, as long as they recognize that that's part of their birthright. For those who are receiving the most, they shall give out the most money. So the receivers of value are called consumers, and the ones that give value are called producers. So if you notice, there are two sets of people in the world, the consumers and the producers. And it turns out, at least in the current time that we're in, 2022, the consumers are greater than the producers. Nigel believes, I believe, that all beings were here as contributors. And as long as everyone is contributing through circulation, there isn't this divide between consumers and producers. And notice that the producers have the money and the consumers are always scarce. So if I was to make a recommendation, is delete the word get from your vocabulary. This word is programmed, is literally putting a knot in the garden hosepipe, getting. And the worst part about getting is that if I keep getting without giving, I will have this phenomenon known as value constipation. It's the same as physical constipation. Sometimes it is, the manifestation of it is physical constipation. But what that is that means there's more coming in than is going out. And so the consumer is basically value constipated. They got a lot coming in and they become addicted to taking information, getting it and just getting bloated. And the more I take in and less I put out is the more the bloatedness and stuckness. That's where that word comes from. Stuck, just like if you turn on the garden hose pipe and there's stuff in it and you've got it connected to the source, pumping water in there, that garden pipe is just going to swell until you open the faucet, which in this case represents the mouth. And as soon as I let it out, it comes out as speech and value And that's my encouragement. Give primarily through speaking, which Bettina is modeling very well. Oh, there's a delay.
Oh, there we go. So you are in the practice of this very special activational speaking, which you've demonstrated here today already. So as the audience is listening, share a little bit more about what is this style of communication that you practice called activational speaking?
Well, the first thing is that most people are trained not to speak. They're like, I'm listening. I'm a really good listener. You got to listen more than you talk. Now, I totally think it's the actual reverse. Listening is automatic because these things have no volume control. And therefore, we're hearing whether we like it or not. But what we can control is what's coming out, which is where the value pops out. And so the first thing is, I say talking is like the number one way to contribute value. It's the highest paid profession. And in fact, if you ask someone, what do you do? What you're really asking them, what is your vocation? And the word vocation means the way in which I use my voice. So every creature on earth has a sound, and that's how they add value. They make a sound. Birds sing, alligators do whatever they do, lions roar, dogs bark, and humans talk, right? And all value, especially money, is contributed through the spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you move your body at the same time while you're talking, it's called performance. And the more action I add to my speech, is the more value. Somehow the world prefers that. Michael Jackson being a high performer, all high performance is about moving the body primarily, all right? Action. So, but when you add words to it, the value goes through the roof. So the first thing I say is, please speak, like all value talks. So most people go to the classroom and they're taught to listen, be quiet. And I'm like, no, talk to me. See, so it's instant disruption of the status quo. The second thing is, when I am talking now, there are words that when they are spoken into another human's mind, it blocks their capacity to listen. They're called virus words. And so the activational part is being aware, A, speaking a lot, and B, being aware that certain words shut down the mind, but it's part of the normal, i.e. 99% of the world has virus speech. And therefore 99% of the world is underperforming, shut down, and struggling and looking for power because they're actually disempowered by their own speech. And why is that important? Because speech programs the mind. We are computer minds, and when the computer is programmed right, it operates fast. And when the speech shuts down the mind, it shuts down the thinking, and when thinking stops, the human basically degrades. So
one of the best distinctions that I've ever seen is the Yoda comment. There's not try, there's only do.
Right. Exactly.
And when you think of the words trying, I'm trying to get better at this, I'm trying to give up that, I'm trying to be less fat, or whatever the term that most people want to use. It's like the trying is not the doing, and the doing is the only way to get things done, right? Or
now, the thing is, people
can't.
Well, there's a relationship between speech, thought, and action. So if I keep saying I'm trying, first of all, the mind doesn't know what to do with that. So it's like, and therefore there is no action, even though I'm saying I'm trying. And then it basically stops activity. And because of the mind-body connection, when I speak like that, I literally shut down my activity. And then I see no results. And then I say, but I'm trying. And every time I say I'm trying, literally it puts on the brakes on the human body. And the human body is very stressed out because it was designed to move, but it's also controlled to some degree by the thoughts I'm having. And what we call those kind of words, trying, not, if, don't, because are virus infected words, which basically make the mind malfunction. And when the mind malfunction, the human body locks up, and we call it tightens up, and stress and all this. This is why people go to therapy and need massages, because most of the time this thing is malfunctioning. So the activational speaking is consciously using words that reverse that tightening up and unleash the potential of the mind, which can unleash the potential of the body. And when you have the mind body emotion unleashed, the human performance goes up. And when it goes up to a certain level, we call it greatness. Hence the name of my company, the Human Greatness Activation. It's our birthright, but we have been programmed, or we're in an environment that's programming us to shut it down. I can go on.
Fantastic. I know. Well, you brought up your website, greatnessactivation.com. I want folks to go there. And you've got a program that's coming up again. I've taken it several times from you, called the Financial Miracle Challenge.
Yes.
And so before we go on much further, tell us about your Financial Miracle Challenge and how can people get registered?
Well, first of all, you can get registered by going to greatnessactivation.com/FMC. What is that about? It's literally making a lot of money in a short period of time. In fact, it's a 5-day challenge. And so I think Bettina is actually our highest performer who's attended. But basically, people have miraculous cash flow in their bank accounts in 5 days. And it's using this very principle right here, that voice is the moneymaker. The voice is the moneymaker. So most people have been trained not to speak, therefore their cash flow is low. If you do speak, your cash flow goes up. The highest paid person, I think, just as an example, Oprah, multi-billionaire. What does she do for a living, or what was her profession? Speaking. Right? All the greats that we are familiar with, Jesus, Gandhi, Buddha, Mandela, they are remembered for what they said and what their words did that caused others to act. So speaking, and then just if you want to take it to the ultimate source, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and God said, or Word said, let there be light, and there was light. So everything that was created was spoken into existence. So we, as replicas of the Creator, have this power to create using this voice. And
I love that. And your philosophy is that our voice is our moneymaker, which we're going to get
is the moneymaker
next. But just reminding folks that are listening and watching that you're going to want to go to greatnessactivation.com/FMC. And let's bring up the website, Daniel, which is greatnessactivation.com/comp, because you want people to engage in a conversation with you. Right, Nigel?
Yes. Well, there's a second one. That's the complementary. So usually people know that they're called to this earth to do something great. And a sign that I am called to greatness and I am operating below my potential, one of the major symptoms of that is frustration. Anyhow, I feel the gift of frustration. That is a sign that I have a greater intention than I am fulfilling. And so there are so many, that's one of the, in terms of emotions, that is one of the most prevalent emotion that at least ambitious people have, is frustration. And they're like, this is not working. And like, I feel like I'm whacking my head against the wall, the glass ceiling. The symptom that I'm hitting a glass ceiling is I'm frustrated. Why? Because I can see where I'd like to go, but this ceiling, invisible ceiling, is in my way, and I know I'm whacking against it because it's cracked. but I still can't see what it is that's creating the ceiling. So I'm suggesting, number one, that it's my own speaking that's creating that. And secondly, once I'm aware of the way I speak, whenever I say go through the glass ceiling, we're talking about a financial number, right? It's always measured in US dollars or currency of the day. So speaking and money is directly related. And in the Financial Miracle Challenge, we're setting a challenging financial goal, and we're using the voice to make that happen. Now, for some people like Bettina, their voice is pretty clear, their channel is clear. So there's not much work that has to be done before you have this massive quantum leap in income. For some people, they've been shut down for so long, or they've been in an environment where people are pouring in limiting ideas into their psyche, their parents, their school, their community. Oh, we can't do that. That's not possible. It's not for us. And that's all virus talk, we call that. And all that does, it blocks anything from coming out and increases the amount of constipation. Now, the great news is that constipation is just gifts waiting to come out. So another thing we do, we actually convert the negative blocked thoughts into cash flow. We call it crude oil. You know, the story, right? There's oil in the desert. And at the time, back in 29, the people that owned the desert didn't realize that the black dirt was valuable gold. And so until the Europeans came and said, look, we'll take that oil and we'll process it and turn it into gasoline and plastic and everything and sell it back to you. So that's how beautiful that what we call it crude oil is. So that's the same as thoughts that are negative and limiting. They contain gold, and as long as in the FMC we find a way to process that gold. First of all, we got to get it out, dig it out, but then we process it and convert it to cash.
So that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you so much, Nigel, for sharing with us not only about your activation conversations, but your upcoming Financial Miracle Challenge. Folks, go to greatnessactivation.com and /FMC. Our next show coming up is Reggae Hour, episode 270. Thank you all for joining me for today's show. Be sure to come back on Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Thursday on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Bye for now, everybody.